Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining another episode of Real Talk for Men. Please like and subscribe on our page, on our YouTube page. I'm the host, Robert Williams. Today's topic, we're going to talk about food/nutrition. The importance of food, of course, we need food to live. But what are some of the other impacts that food and the significance of food in our life? Seems kind of rhetorical, or what am I talking about? That's what we need to talk about more, the impact of food in our life. Today, with me to have this discussion, to my right, Mr. Carlton Neal. Next to him, we've been blessed to be joined
my pleasure, man.
by Mr. Aaron Cisco, but everyone know him as Old School.
Thank you, sir.
And to my left, we have Mr. Draymair Foxworth. Foxworth, I'll reject your name. Am I saying it correct?
Yes, you are.
All right, I always keep Foxworthy, but it's just Foxworth. I'm glad I got it correct. Before we get into the impact of food on our bodies and in our spirit, the one thing that we're missing in our community is cooking our own food again. Sitting at the table. Our children can use that. Our family can use that. Many of us grew up with Sunday dinner. We have say things are busy, we have a challenge, and we don't have time to cook, or it's like we come with all these excuses, but we miss something important. We share time with each other with a meal. Not necessarily always just Sunday dinner. I was talking earlier with the gentleman. We talk about Fridays in a lot of neighborhoods was fish day, and we had Sunday dinner. You had Monday leftovers, and they're going to the restaurant, a fast food restaurant. I was coming up. That was a treat, and it was usually once a week.
Right.
Now we've allowed that to become part of the food budget. When people say they're having economic challenges, if you sit back and you think about how often you eat out, that's a pretty big meal. That's a pretty big bill, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. So the power of nutrition and food is what our body needs. But before we get into the type of food we're eating, let's think about some of the processes and routines. And how can we get it back? It ain't that hard to cook a meal. But what do you gain? Conversation, camaraderie at that table. So I'd like for the brothers to chime in on what they think about where we're going from that aspect, just the closeness that a meal can create. Mr. Old School has a show that he provides comedy and music, but he gives you a meal. And you'd like to elaborate on that first?
I would love to. At our show, we have baked chicken, not fried. Tilapia. We have roasted potatoes, broccoli, salad, macaroni and cheese, and rolls. And we give you a nice portion of that, but it comes with wanting to do the best you can for the people that you got. I always believed in treating people the way I want to be treated. Mm-hmm. Okay, and we keep this meal as clean as possible. No pork products, no red meat. You got a choice as whether you want to do macaroni and cheese or roasted potatoes. The salad is fresh garden salad and rolls. So we feed you first. Okay, we don't have you sitting there waiting to eat. The doors open at 6, and dinner is served from 6:30 to 7:30. And the show starts at 8 till 11. And at 11 o'clock, it's all over. The parking lot holds 225 cars free. So we've been there now, by the grace of God, for 14 years. And people seem to be pretty happy with it. But I was thinking when you were talking, Rob, and when you were talking about us cooking more for ourselves and so forth and so on. Quiet as it's kept. If we could put some kind of community program together that taught people how to cook. Because everybody don't know. It's not like it was when we was coming up, and if you wanted to eat, you had to learn how to cook your own food. That's the way my mother was.
Well, you know what, brother? It's amazing you said we got to learn how to cook. It's not as hard as we are making it. And I want us to think about that. Cooking, like a lot of things, is trial and error.
Sure.
And, you're right. We don't have the grandmothers in the kitchen cooking to show you the lessons before. But sometimes we can still just take a chance and cook more, because the reason I'm even having this discussion more, because food, sometimes it tastes good. A lot of times it tastes good. That's a conversation. And a good meal can warm your heart. But I do agree with cooking class. I don't want nobody to think I don't agree with that, because somebody got to stop, because we have a gap that's
Sure.
allowed to happen somewhere. Nobody want to cook in the kitchen. But those were the times when my mother and her friends were in the kitchen. They would be in the kitchen. Y'all go to visit one of my mother's friends, and you would visit, and they would be in the kitchen.
They all in the kitchen.
Somebody would be cooking something. It created a certain family culture atmosphere, but our communication and camaraderie revolved around that food. When I shared with you, I've had the opportunity and the blessing to come to your shows, and that meal in the beginning of it, everybody's dressed nice, everybody's dressed up.
Sure.
And that is a certain feel that we're eating first. Mm-hmm. That's something that somebody need to duplicate. Now, most people have cabarets and they bring food to the cab. But that meal at the cab is still a part of the whole experience.
Sure.
Going to a cab. When my family did cabarets, remember a couple of times you DJ?
Right.
Collins is a DJ also. Mm-hmm. And his family came one year without. Mm-hmm. The people at the table kept talking because I made all the food. And when I went to work the next day, they was surprised and shocked that I made the food at the table. They had a good time dancing. Mm-hmm. They had a good time partying, but they kept talking about the food, and I did have some certain liquor on the table that they was impressed I was able to obtain.
Right.
Because they figured at that time I was too young to know about it. But those moments of food, that nutrition that was being built, wasn't just the food we were eating. It was our spirit. Mm-hmm. It was our
Sure.
connection. It was our camaraderie. Going to work the next day or that Monday, they talked about the food. They kept laughing about the food. It made people compliment. But it was a camaraderie of something to talk about, positive. And don't food bring a smile to our face when we think about the cookouts we had as kids?
Sure.
Smile also comes when food tastes good. You get to dancing.
Right.
When the food tastes good, you be like, yo, this
You can do a little happy dance.
good.
And yeah, you got anything to add about the food discussion so
Yeah,
far?
I think the food, it is, there's a lot of properties with food. And like what you kind of talked about, like that's the external properties. You eat good, you're happy, and it brings this, it allows conversation. It allows family to come together. Then you have the internal properties of food, like how it make us feel internally, like what it does to our body. But I also think that there's another element to food. And I think we're just in a crazy time period. And this is what I mean by that. So when we are in a time period where we have just so much information, right? I was saying this, and some people might not want to hear it, but it is what it is. Ladies are nurturers. They are nurturers, right? And it is and the reason why I say that now, most people will say that ladies are nurturers. So this is the part that's going to make people mad. When you are a nurturer, your job is to understand the properties of food. I'll give you an example. If you teach a child how to eat right earlier on, you have the greatest potential of expanding their life more than anything you'll ever do throughout the course of their life if you teach them how to eat well early. Now, if you teach a child how to eat well early, it could very well, that child can live to 100, 110, 100, if that child was taught how to eat well earlier on. All right? So I never forget, man, I was looking at it wasn't the Million Man March. I think it was like the 25th year anniversary of the Million Man March. Right? I went to the one, probably we all did, went to the Million Man March, but it was the 25th anniversary that they had. But I never forget watching Louis Farrakhan standing speaking on stage, and he brought all these beautiful ladies standing behind him, and each one of them had on a different color. But he explained that each one of them were doctors in their particular field of nutrition. And all of them knew the properties of navy beans. They knew the properties of lima beans. They knew the properties of black-eyed peas. They knew the properties of all those peas and beans and greens and vegetables that go into their children's system and our community's system. And with that in mind, that is the heavy part of extending your child's life. Nobody, listen, let me tell you something. Nobody has access to that but the mom first. Nobody. Not dad, only the mom. Teach that child how to eat properly first. And once they, like say for instance, you were saying how you went down south and they was eating things that you weren't, like what? First of all, eating is nothing but what we like to eat is pretty much cultural anyway, right? Like I have a friend, he's Asian, and he'll tell you in the moment that they eat dog, right? That sound like, you mean they eat dog? While you have some Indians look at you and be like, you eat a cow? Like you literally eat beef? Like what? That is the most sacred thing in the world. You eat a pig? But it's cultural, and it comes from our experiences of being younger, and this is what we like to eat, so it became what we enjoy eating, and now it's what it is.
It's ingrained.
It's ingrained in us, right? So if I put a dog in front of you that cook well, look good, all that stuff, you be like, I ain't eating that because that's a dog. But it's just, it's cultural, it's experience, it's ingrained in our brains. And so to think that even us, right, like our parents, and God knows I love my mom, but I probably would, if she knew what it was in terms of nutrition. But what I would say in their defense, it's amazing how every generation think that they're smarter than the last generation who previously left. Like my children will think that they're smarter than us. We thought that we were smarter than our parents. But this is one of the things I know for sure, two things for certain, is that previous generation has already negotiated life.
Right.
They've already negotiated life. We're still in the process of negotiating life. And so, what I was about to say about my mom, they didn't have the privy to the information that we have now.
But you know what? I want to lead into something else about just getting into nutrition.
Right.
First, please like and subscribe to the channel. I want to make sure everybody do that, and that's how we grow the network. So today I made a meal that was for the gentleman at the table here. Didn't want to keep it on the table because it just wasn't a good look. But I made mushrooms, fried up some collard greens. I made some red pepper and green peppers and some yellow peppers and some onions. And I put it over pasta. And I put some vegan butter in the mix. Everybody enjoyed my meal.
Certainly did.
Yes.
Once upon a time, my mother said, you used to have me laughing one day, and she said that meat used to be a luxury. Now, people sometimes eat vegetables, the rice, and they stretch the meat to half, the beans, and when our people were broke sometimes, they were actually healthier because they couldn't afford the meat. And meat sometimes was a treat for some people in the household. So a lot of our people that were really strong and they grew their own food, down south because they couldn't afford to go to the supermarket. But those inconveniences of not being able to shop and with the segregation challenge part of the South, it actually had us healthier. And when you cook your own food, even when a debate about, before we get into debating about what foods we should not eat because of what it has effects on our body, cooking your own food made it healthier, period. So I also have a question of, I started eating healthier when I was younger, but not eat healthy. Healthier was cutting down on the fried food. And I started baking food. You know, but as you get older and you start running, you start working out, especially when we all coming up, everybody plays some form of sports, and you was athletic or you played up and down the street. When your body, sometimes it's not just you're getting older, your routines change, but you're eating that same heavy food. That's how people gain all the extra weight. But we must also look at the commercialization of America. And everybody putting the extra things and extra food that you eat from the fast food restaurants to increase profits. And nobody's being accountable because they're looking at a profit, and these things have become a way of life. In our community today, we got our kids eating this bad food with less exercise. And they're not burning it off. Yes, I can eat certain foods when I was younger, but I'm running 5, 8, 10 miles a day. Or how many people play basketball all day? You burn it off. But one thing we must stop playing with, we must start looking at all ingredients that we are eating. Now, I'm not saying everybody has to become a vegan vegetarian, because that's a certain lifestyle change. But you should and find a way to incorporate leafy vegetables in our diet. We must cut back on sometimes the desire to eat the sugar. If we got to eat sugar, we should go to raw sugar. Before we get into I know a lot of people eat what they're used to, but let's encourage each other to make some changes. And I always share, I used to love a good cheesesteak. I don't eat it anymore. I gradually got off of it. And now my body don't desire it. But I do go to a restaurant in New Jersey called Vegans R Us, and I get a vegetarian cheesesteak, which I love because you really do a great job over there. So if everyone is not trying to be a vegan or vegetarian, you don't have to. But it is something to be looked at how food is prepared.
Sure.
But also finding ways to increase our vegetables, our fruit. Look at those herbs that are out there. They work. And anybody that's taking medication, I'm going to share a story. I go to the doctor, I'm in pretty good shape, good health, I'm getting older, I still got high school blood pressure. I'll go in here one day and they looked like they were happy. They said my A1C was up to a 6, maybe close to a 7. I said, really? She called me up and said I had diabetes. I said, no, I don't.
You're going to have something, you get close to a 7.
I said, do that test again. She said, no, you got to wait 3 months. She subscribed this medication, like just like pushing it on me. I said, okay. I took the pills home, 3 subscriptions, they filled them 3 times. I went back to the doctors. And he said, oh, wow, Mr. Williams, almost like this is spectacular. Your thing dropped down to what, 3 or 4 somewhere? And they was like, medication worked and I changed my diet. I said, y'all never listened to my diet. Number one, lady, I said, no, I told you what I ate, but you kind of ignored it. But I said, it went down. She said, yes. And I pulled out my pocket, 1, 2, 3 subscriptions. I didn't take any. I said, could you take down my medical records that I took this medicine? Because I didn't take none. I said, would you like to know what I did? She looked. I said, you're not going to probably believe it because I know I'm going against the system. And I understand you got a confidentiality agreement you got to sign to push medication on people because the pharmacies and the doctor are big drug dealers in the city, in the country. I said, I got some cinnamon. And I drank hot cinnamon every morning with nothing on my stomach. Then I followed up and I drink ginger with lemon. Part of my routine. I increased it because somewhere I had did something got a little bit ahead of me. But rather than you give me a warning and just say come back, you ready to put me on subscription.
3-4
My
minutes.
blood pressure's not up, nothing is up. And you see no history with me having this challenge. So I share that because I'm not recommending anyone to just drop their subscription medicine
not.
right away. But my thing is, eat healthier and your body will let you know what you don't need. So if you got certain medications, like people who have challenges with seizures, I don't know what that's like, and there's a certain regimen that they must do that they got to be careful with before you done. If you want to do it, you got to, and if you are going to take a chance and be completely healthy and eat, you cannot play with it. You got to be 100% committed, which is a challenge. So that's why I'm always careful because, yes, I eat a vegetarian meal 6 days a week.
Right.
But I might go get some shrimp. I might eat a piece of fish. I might eat certain things. I won't eat any beef. I won't eat any pork. So I don't cook these meals, but I might eat. But if you are going to try to cure too many things before you get off your prescription meds, do not do that until you're 100% committed, if you want to take a chance. But before we get to that, I'm not saying don't eat that steak. I'm just saying put some more greens with it.
Right.
I'm saying you should cut on the red meat altogether.
And
I ain't
just
saying
like
that.
anything else, in moderation.
Yes.
Okay, that's all. In
Yes.
moderation. If you want to have a cheesesteak a month, do it like that. Make that the way you're gonna play that game, and then play. A lot of times we can play games with ourselves that nobody else would think of making a game out of.
Yes.
Because they don't see it that way. But it's all for the goodness of your health and for your benefit. But sometimes you got to change some things around.
Yeah.
Cause I remember,
Okay.
because I remember in school we used to have home ec, where you actually taught the students how to cook with the vegetables and the fruits, balanced out our meals and everything. And then when I got older, I found out that pyramid, which I don't go by no more, where they had mentioned dairy. When you find out that dairy is actually bad for the human being, because when you're sick, they actually tell you to leave dairy alone, because dairy causes blood clots and causes mucus and everything. So on top of that, like if you do want to get some healthy foods, where I shop at, you go to the Caribbean, Mediterranean supermarkets. Their food is totally different from American supermarkets.
Okay.
Because they get their food from overseas and they bring it to their own supermarkets. And it doesn't have all, their breads don't have all of the ingredients as American bread and everything.
I'd imagine that the food itself doesn't have the same kind of preservatives that it takes to keep these vegetables
Because
green.
think about it, if you go to a supermarket and you're in a supermarket, you can eat almost everything in the supermarket. Size of that door frame, it's the health section. So why is this the health section? What's the matter with the rest of the food?
No, I think so. This is the crazy thing, right? And I mean, you just hit the nail right on the head, Rob. It's always been about money. Whether it's Mediterranean, whether it's America, it's about profit. The problem kind of started, and follow me with this. Problem kind of started when the industrialization era had went to a big business era where you would normally have several butchers, which they don't even exist anymore inside of a neighborhood. But now all of your chicken, all of your fish, all of your whatever pork, all of your vegetables, all of your rice, all of that is coming from one organization or two at the most that the government has said this is okay. Now follow me with this one. This is crazy. So here in America, one of the things we suffer with is
Obesity.
not just that, but suffer from the cancer of colon cancer. All right, that's big in America. However, if you go to most Asian countries, well, some Asian countries, the cancer that they suffer from is stomach cancer. The difference we suffer from colon cancer is because of we eat meat in excess. All right, and we eat meat in excess, and the problem is where you'll have an Asian country, they'll eat meat for flavor. You'll go to France, meat is for flavor. It's not for proportions. Now, one of the things you have mentioned is talking about how things were like what we were taught. What we were taught was totally wicked because, and this is what I mean by that, we were taught to eat a starch, a vegetable, and a protein. Now, let's think about a protein. Now, protein in America is considered meat. A protein in India is considered beans. Right? So now you have people living in India much longer than you have people living in America, and they haven't touched a piece of meat. Right? It's because of the meat industry needs to sell meat.
Correct.
So, but if you go over to Asia, what'll happen is they'll suffer from stomach cancer. The reason they suffer from stomach cancer is solely because they bleach their rice. One of the studies that they were found out with all the bleach in their rice, they like white. They need it bleached. So because of that, they suffer from stomach cancer. So one of the things, like you were just saying, talking about in terms of moderation, and this is the thing about like properties of food. So if you have a chicken, all right, and like you consistently eating chicken, but that chicken is given all types of penicillin, all types of things, just because I have to get this chicken to adulthood as quick as possible. So I can.
Not only that, it's got to last as long as we can possibly
make it last before we able to slaughter it and get it out of here and sell it. You see what I'm saying? And so when we start talking about the FDA, you know, it is it's inner workings there, man, that we don't know about. All right. That behooves everybody because it's always about the dollar. You know, I have a friend who lives in Missouri, and he said, if you can ever afford to have just a yard, and he don't care if it's 20 by 20, grow your own food.
Yes.
Grow your own food. Now, even with that, like it's to a point where Monsanto, they literally will sue you if it's wicked. Those guys are wicked. You literally can't grow a vegetable or a bean if it hadn't come from them. All right? A lot of people don't even realize it. It's just so heavy, it's ridiculous. But I would say, man, whenever you guys get the opportunity, there's a documentary called Forks Over Knives. All right? And that documentary is so amazingly done. It will amaze you how we eat and why we eat what we eat and why we end up the way that we end up. All right? It's kind of like, you know, this is what we've been taught. Like our parents didn't know no better. So when you know better, you do better. Right. They didn't have access to the information we have now. Like I remember coming up, man, this is honest goodness truth, guys. I ain't gonna lie to you. When we were coming up, it was like 9 heads of us. Mm-hmm. Bro, when I went to the store, I literally, it was bologna and cheese. We couldn't come out that store with no quarter pound of ham. Like, it was like bologna and cheese. But I'm saying that to say, like, we are all bred into how we eat. Until you know better is when you start doing better.
Yeah, and
let's be perfectly honest. We usually go by what we can afford.
Bam.
right.
Okay? Let's not
100% honest. Yep, that's real.
Because in order to eat healthy, it's more expensive.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Please like and subscribe. Got to say that every now and then.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
When it comes to expense, yes, getting certain meats that I eat, I have a luxury of, you know, being able to spend the money on those meats.
Sure.
But when I do my budget and I look at how much fruit don't cost sometimes, I look at the vegetables I get from Produce Junction or from the different stores, it actually, I spend less money.
Okay.
It's because
Yeah, Produce Junction, the guy
Right.
sent.
So when I'm getting fruit and vegetables, I come out, I spend $60 and I'm putting bags in the back of my car. It's a quick food that costs more money.
Right.
So yes, they got a lot of the special foods as yes. If you go get a pack of hamburgers versus vegan burgers, yes, they cost more than that. So yes, that can be expensive. Certain vegan burgers I might eat, that's just a treat. I don't eat them all the time. I don't have them like part of my meal like somebody would do with their hamburgers. If you're getting the cereal, yes, that's certain cereal that somebody has put a label on. And I'm not knocking those things, but it is expensive.
Right.
But when we start eating healthy, we got to get our body nutrition. And we should probably focus on only being 80% full. We've been focused on being 100% full for so long.
Right.
Eat the right foods with nutritional value in your vegetables and the different beans especially. Your body will require less to eat, saving you money.
Right,
But
right.
if you got a bag of beans, and I'm not even a big fan of every bean. Sometimes I got to mix mine with something.
Right.
When I make different soups,
Right.
it's nutritional. So I can go a pretty long time without eating. But when you eat the quicker food that most people eat, that's processed, that's maximized for profit, it go in your belly. Sometimes you gotta go to relieve it out.
Sure.
You're hungry again
Yeah,
right,
because there's
right.
no nutritional value of it because it got so much around.
Yeah.
So, but when it comes to expenses, if you write down things that your body need, if this is a challenge, this is homework, everybody need to do more.
Sure.
Let's think about, you get calcium from leafy vegetables, but we were told it was vitamin D, it was from milk. Milk, we're the only species that drinks another species' milk. Everybody else drinks their own milk. That alone, I used to love milk. Yes, I did. My body let me know it didn't like me.
Right.
But, and I got older, like you said, being older, it really don't make sense. But that's a huge billion-dollar industry. But we've been trained to drink it so much. How have we been trained to think and people make money? But think about it, it's not logical.
Yep.
You get it from other sources. When we start talking more like that, and please everyone, having these discussions is not to criticize what you are eating. And I know, we all know that taste is a psychological important makeup of our body.
Right.
It don't mean we have to keep it, but I know that's hard to shake. That's why I like to share with people the foods that I did love that I don't eat now. And I'm glad that I don't, because I feel extremely healthy.
Sure.
And it helps. But when it comes to the pricing, everything costs, but what's the reward?
There you go.
Well,
Absolutely.
The reward for me, and as I've seen certain individuals that do eat healthy, they skin. Look at them; they could be 60 years old, but they look like they're in their 30s. And that's one of the good profits, and also they joints. Like when Dr. Sebi was living, he was like in the 60s and 70s. When I seen him drop down on his knees and got right back up in the gym, nothing but students, that blew my mind away. And I was like, whoa. I mean, he
Yeah.
actually fell on his knees and got right back up to prove how strong his bones are.
Rob, I wanted to, excuse me, I'm not trying to cut you off. I wanted to ask you a question. You mentioned something earlier about sea moss.
Yes.
Could you expand on that a little bit?
Sea moss has 99, the body needs 104 minerals. So a tablespoon of sea moss is better than any vitamin pill that you can take.
Okay.
And I take it every morning. I
Okay.
make it in my smoothies in the morning, and I can feel the difference. The mucus in our body is when we get a virus, it attaches to the mucus. I'm not a doctor. I mean, you can look so much up for yourself, and we need to look up, not just rely on a doctor, because most doctors don't want to hear that. But when that mucus is out of your body, that's why I don't get a cold.
And does the CMOS control that or having a direct effect on the mucus?
It can have an impact on that, but also the big thing with the CMOS, it just gives your body the nutrition.
Okay.
Like the pills that most people take on the market, the vitamin pills, they work. They have something that works. But this works better. And it's like taking that good vitamin pill even stronger, and it's natural.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, for mucus, if you want to take melanin,
Okay.
yeah, that's good for mucus. And to clean your liver is milk thistle.
And turmeric.
The milk thistle I'm familiar with.
Right. And turmeric.
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 Yeah.
Turmeric.
Yeah.
Because one thing we all get is inflammation in our body. You ever feel like your lips were swollen or something, your body was swollen, you didn't know, and you try to feel what you eat?
I just got big lips, Rob. So it's just Steve Harvey. Just I knew he was gonna bring that up. No, I'm joking.
We're going to be serious, man. But if you ever feel, turmeric helps keep the inflammation down.
Well, see, a couple
your
of these
body.
things, the turmeric and what was the other thing we mentioned right before turmeric? I forgot just that quick.
No,
No, it was between the two.
You said something.
Melanin?
Yes. A lot of these things are good to fight the prostate cancer too. Okay, especially that turmeric.
Yes.
Like I said, I've been struggling with prostate cancer since 16, but I'm here. Okay, and I'm on my feet, and I'm eating better.
There you go.
I still
start.
need more work. And I'm gonna tell you the truth. I'm a firm believer that you can make anything taste decent if you season it and you cook it and
The way you like
prepare
it, right.
It's real easy for somebody to complain
Right.
about something that was cooked for them, but they were sitting in the living
and the
room
food had
watching
turmeric on it
Jeopardy.
today.
Okay.
Season the food with turmeric.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. See, we have a tendency to be lazy.
Yep.
Let's just call it what it is. That's where the fast food business come from.
Yep.
Yes.
Lazy.
And it's getting even as time goes on, it's getting worse.
Yeah, grandma.
It's getting worse. It's getting
Because
worse, man.
you have to understand that those companies' business is to find out how to give you what you think is the same thing
Right.
for less.
Right.
That's what it is.
For less to them, for more to you.
So you can get more. So they can get more money. They can give you less, and that way, I mean, it all is good business in their mind.
That's
you
all.
know what I mean?
And that's all it is to them. is
Yup,
business.
it's good business in their mind.
If you look at, because I pay attention on stuff in the grocery store, the 25-cent bag is about this big. It used to be the variety bag. We had the Doritos, the potato chips.
Yeah,
the crackers.
And
the next bag is the 50 cent used to be the quarter. So
Right.
everything is done in reverse.
Oh, listen.
Then you had the Reese cups. It used to be 4. Now it's 3.
Now it's 3.
Now they kick it but hit you with the bonus and went right back to 4. This marketing is just plain.
Well, and
games.
that's the biggest thing. I can't say enough.
Right.
I'm not mad at the system. I'd say we just got to talk about how it works. And we don't have to co-sign on everything in the system.
That's right.
Now, they spend a lot of money to get us to co-sign.
Right.
But if we have more discussion, and I'm glad you guys enjoyed the food that I prepared.
Absolutely.
And one of the things I always want to do, but the whole purpose of every discussion is resolution discussion. The resolution that I'm looking to encourage everybody to do before you make a drastic change, because that's why I always feel like everybody's beating you up. I have a garden that I'm preparing to plant my own food to grow next year. Everybody, if you have a house and you got a plot, because we grew up in a community where somebody was always planting something in the neighborhood. We joked about it, we laughed about it, but a lot of our mothers and grandmothers, either did it or somebody in the neighborhood was always giving you something that they grew. We made a joke of it, like you said, the generation before, everybody who's smarter. But and it's funny, I'm always glad I gained wisdom by respecting those before me.
That's it.
If I get credit for being smart today,
Yeah.
I never looked at me being smarter than anyone before me.
Right.
I look to learn from them to build on what they did so you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
We need to grow our own stuff. And one of the resolutions I'm looking to do, and I hope everybody looking at this and get some inspiration, I'm looking to adopt some schools to go to one of these community gardens that got some plots and look at the schools, and I'm talking to the different principals. I'm gonna make time to do that, to provide a batch of students from each school to do and I'm not an agricultural person. I never learned anything about it.
Sure.
And there's a lot of assistants out there, but to lead the charge to get some of our children to plant something and get some energy behind it, get some love behind it. But if we got 5 kids from this school, 5 from that one, and they got a little club, and they plant something and grow, they got something to talk about in
Agricultural
school.
club. There's nothing wrong with it. See, you have to understand that a lot of the things that were the best for us have been gotten rid of.
Yeah.
It's just like you mentioned home economics, okay? That was a staple in every school, junior high and high. Most of the time, the kids called the teacher mom. Okay, and she would show you how to cook something else every day. Sometimes you get to, if you bake cookies, you got to leave the classroom when, you know, everybody has some cookies. But they took that away, just like they took away the industrial stuff, the auto shop,
Trees.
the metal shop, the wood shop.
Keep in mind, they took them away from the African black community
So that you could not
Period.
make a living
because you go around
without
other
them.
parts. Right.
Okay,
Other people still have them.
that's right.
We don't have them, what we call inner city communities. We don't have them. So that's one thing to be clear. Somebody can argue, because yes, places have CDLs and everything when they get out of high school. Our communities do not. Our communities are surviving now on poppy stores. Now we talk about expense, food, right? I've seen many people go to the corner store with their government assisted monies and buy many things, and some things you're not even supposed to buy on that. It's the convenience psychologically that's our enemy, not the price of the food. If you go to the supermarket, even if you go into one of the supermarkets that's acts like a wholesaler, your money stretched further to feed the family. Many of us come from a family of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I know a friend of mine, he's the youngest of 15 children. And they stretched the dollar because they went to the store and cooked the food. People, you save your money when you cook your food. Now, everybody throw out, I'm busy. That's the biggest excuse that we gotta stop.
I thought you was going somewhere else with it.
I thought about it, but no. That's a big excuse we gotta stop doing. We do what we want to do. You gotta put priorities out there. Now, some people priorities being on the internet 8 hours a day.
That's right.
We are hurting our community. We're hurting ourselves with excuses. And we need to stop it when it comes to our health. Do I have a crazy schedule? Yes. I laugh at what am I thinking sometimes. But I took the time to make my brothers a meal that took me all bit of 35 minutes. And while I was on the phone, because I'm old school, because I had a mother who used to multitask. So I had some good lessons. Maybe we got to show examples of the lessons of doing more than one thing. But I was on the phone while I was cooking, because I got a little button on here that put it on the intercom.
That's right.
Remember back in the day, you had to hold the phone like this.
Right.
And I put it with some
You put it
simple
on
2, 3
speaker.
things. Now you can put it on speaker.
Right.
So why can't you cook a meal? The reason I'm so adamant about it, one of the ways to get us healthier as a people is to cook ourselves, number one. Then we need to cut back on different things we eat, and we need to increase our nutrition. I want to make one thing clear. I am not a opponent of eating red meat anymore. I am not in agreement with eating any pork items anymore. I don't disrespect anyone that still desires to do it, but I hope we found ways to get off of it because it's detrimental to our bodies.
Absolutely.
Also, I like to share. Also, we have to learn how to bake and eat raw, because a lot of times when you actually fry food, you removing all the nutrients out of the food.
Yes. And so I want to thank my distinguished guests. I want to thank my Carlton has agreed to co-sign. He like my co-anchor now because he got such a power when he
I ain't know
speaks.
that, but you're my dog.
No, I joke because I love his energy. But I'm going to wrap this one up today and just realize the purpose of every show is to plant a seed of discussion.
Sure.
And to let us think more. And a debate is nothing wrong with a debate, but let's get something in the middle of the table to debate about.
Oh, yeah.
Food and nutrition are important.
Yep.
We spend a lot of dollars on stuff that's making us sick. Then we get a medication from the biggest drug dealers in the country called pharmaceutical, and we think we're okay. And if you're not careful, you will get a cocktail of medication that counterproducts itself and make you sicker. So there's a lot to go through. There's many people out on the internet that's speaking. You don't have to agree with everything, but I would encourage everybody to look and do more research.
Absolutely.
And let us get a lot more healthier. So I want to thank everyone for coming out. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Please hit the like button and subscribe. Until next time, I'm Robert Williams, the host of Real Talk for Men. Thank you very much and have a great one.
Have a great one.